Good morning, everybody. It is Sunday, May 29th, 2022. Welcome, Katerina. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, intuitive astrologer, Reiki master, and empowerment coach. And I'm here today with our weekly Traversing the Transits with Teri, doing our angel readings. I got to tell you, I'm feeling a little bit melancholy this week. I think if anybody's watched the news, you've seen the events that have taken place over this. Oh boy. Katerina, are you here? Anybody here? Oh, there you are, small. Okay, good. I I can't tell if anybody's here. Hey, Juan. Okay. Good morning. Good morning, La Viuda. I don't know how to say that correctly. Good morning, Natalia. Again, good morning, Katerina, Jules, Natalia. Okay, hi, everybody. Okay, so this is where I was going with this. I was doing my meditation and talking to spirit. And, I think everybody knows what's been going on in the news this week and the heartache that a lot of people are feeling. I have so much trepidation about certain subjects and about the controversial nature of some things. But this morning, I'm very compelled to talk about a meditation that I had years ago. And it's kind of, in some ways, I want to talk about this before I start the readings, because I think they can illuminate some understanding. When Sandy Hook took place, I was outraged. I was so grateful that I did not have any little children on the earth for me to have to worry about. And honestly, I could put myself in everybody's shoes, and I was heartbroken over the situation. And I went into meditation, and I said to Spirit, I don't understand these senseless acts. I don't understand why the innocent are so perpetrated upon. And Spirit showed me the most amazing thing, because they took me to the place where the souls of those children at Sandy Hook were crossing over. And as they ascended into the angelic realm, they became these beings that were like these humongous angels. I can't even describe to you what I was seeing, because the power and the mastery and the vibration of those children as they ascended to their natural vibration brought me solace. I literally felt like I was seeing the sense that seemed senseless at the time. And Spirit inspired me with the thought that everybody involved in that particular situation was really trying to bring balance into a dynamic that doesn't have balance anymore. And so I kind of want to offer the idea that while we walk through a similar situation, and obviously most of us are on the peripheral of that, but as we relate to it, I just want to offer the idea that the people that are the victims of this situation could be of a very high vibration. And knowing how adults have compassion for puppies and babies, being at this age when this tragedy happens, is a call to action and balance. And so it's a divine mission in some ways to have the rest of us experience this tragedy. So I know, it seems kind of weird, and I'm not celebrating it at all, but I just feel like I'm trying to help people make sense of what's going on right now, because so much feels so disruptive and so random and so angry. And, I've mentioned that the United States is going through its Pluto return. Pluto rules death and destruction. It rules rebirth. Its totem is the phoenix. And so I think we're being called as conscious beings to seek wisdom where there appears to be no wisdom. And sometimes, And I absolutely believe in reincarnation. I absolutely believe the soul is eternal and chooses these experiences for many, many reasons, often the reasons that the human brain can't even comprehend. So, as we're saturated with these things on the news and we're being given one fear bubble after another and seeing one imbalance after another, I think if we can just sort of seek the wisdom. And then, I felt very strong need to thank the souls involved in this situation for illuminating the imbalance and then sending them love, and not just the ones that crossed over, but all the people that are involved in the human experience that will kind of be the cleanup for this situation. The parents, the schools, the governmental agencies, etc. So I just kind of wanted to address that. I feel like the Mars and Jupiter conjunction that we've started last Wednesday at 3 degrees Aries really sort of brings into focus our beliefs, our willingness to expand those beliefs. And in some ways, Mars as a warrior would be willing to go to the mat for what it believes. And I feel like at this moment, during this polarization, as a conscious and seeking tribe of people, I think it's important for us to seek the wisdom in the disruption, to see the balance in what appears to be imbalance, because every disruptive, every challenging, negative situation gives us an opportunity to make a choice. And those choices are karmic in the sense that as we choose to see deeper meaning in things, then we have an opportunity to shift not just for ourselves, but the ripple effect that happens out into the universe. So I don't know, all these things went through my mind. I was really nostalgic again this week. I don't even know what's going on with that. Good morning, everybody. So that's what I wanted to say. Let's take a quick look. I think we've got a couple of fun stelliums going on right now in the current chart. Yep, we sure do. We know we have a new moon in Gemini tomorrow. And I got a little something to say about that, how I'm going to do the readings today. I'm going to kind of throw you off a little bit. But we have right now Mercury retrograde at 26 degrees Taurus. We have Uranus in Taurus, and Venus has just entered Taurus, her domicile. So this is an opportunity to really, as Mercury is going retrograde, look at what the second house has to offer us. Am I playing to the evolved version of myself? Am I allowing myself to start? Because as Venus goes through Taurus right now, I feel like it's obviously she's going to feel comfortable in Taurus because this is she rules the home. But I also think this is looking at herself from an evolved point of view about how I view my money, my possessions, my self-worth, and looking at this in a way that celebrates my evolvement, celebrates my growth, not just looking at the next hill to climb. At the same time, I was talking about in Aries at 3 degrees, which is sitting right on my south node, is Jupiter and Mars. 3 degrees, it represents the Gemini degree. Tomorrow's a Gemini new moon. Gemini rules the way we think, the way we speak, the way we talk. It rules our school-aged children. It rules our teammates, our workmates, our schoolmates. It rules our everyday lives. And we also have Chiron transiting Aries, and it is heading towards the United States Chiron return. Chiron in the United States natal chart is at 20 degrees Aries. So this is, how can I be a peaceful warrior? How can I, as a country and as individuals, how can we represent not defeat, but the wisdom of disruption? It's very, very, it's a very high vibrational way of thinking. So I think that's super important. And I think it's also important to recognize that as we move forward in life, our beliefs, if we allow them to evolve, and some of the harder edges of things that we believed can initially, and I say hard edge because sometimes we can be disappointed by something we believed we thought was something beneficial, and maybe it's not. And I think that also is something that could be illuminated as Mars is transiting its natural domicile. Venus is transiting her domicile. So there's something really poignant about this happening for me. And at this moment, Uranus is making a sextile, I believe it. No, it's not a sextile. It's within 30 degrees of Chiron. And I can't remember what that's called. I should know that off the top of my head, but I thought sextile was 2 houses. Anyway, I'm not going to get bunched up with that because, again, I think that there's an opportunity to liberate our way of thinking, to see a bigger picture. And rather than going to the polarizations of hero and villain, looking for the shades of gray in between. Okay, let's go on to our readings today. And I wanted to say I'm going to do something a little bit different in conjunct. Thank you, 145 Club. I think that's right. I have a cheat sheet, but this morning, I don't know. I was just I kept having the song Bless the Beast and the Children running through my head. And I just feel like I'm really trying very hard to seek wisdom where there appears to be none. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do today. In celebration of the new moon in Gemini, I thought I would think a little bit differently. And I would start each month doing the sign whose birthday month it is. So today we're going to start with Gemini and work our way towards Taurus. Next month, we'll start with Cancer and we'll work our way to Gemini. You guys know I'm a Libra sun. I'm always trying to find balance within my craziness of my life and my head and my Aries rising and my Aries south node. So this was kind of a new way to start, kind of mix it up a little bit, stay true to our evolving way of being, and so that others could, I thought, we were just going to extremes. Pisces is last, Aries is first. What about all the people in the middle? So there we go. Okay. All right, so here we go. We're going to start with our Gemini, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. If you don't know what a stellium is, it's 3 or more planets in one sign. If these are outer planets, those planets are very slow moving, so they really represent more of a collective consciousness within maybe a generation or a demographic, whereas the faster moving planets, Saturn's not the fastest, so I'm going backwards, but Saturn, Mars, Venus, Mercury, obviously the sun, the moon, those planets, if they're all in one house or sign, this is important. And pay attention to that first, because that and your moon and your sun rising sign are going to be how you set out what your perception is. And a stellium represents a focus in your life's mission. So, all right. So let's look first at our first tarot card for our Geminis. And since I'm not used to doing it this way, remember, keep me on task so I don't miss anybody. Our tarot card this week, as Gemini new moon starts, is the 7 of Swords. This is a very interesting energy because the 7 of Swords is about going your own way. It's about looking back at the group and taking what is working for you and leaving what isn't behind. If you look closely, this guy has a bit of a smirk. So he's not really leaving in celebration, but rather it seems as if he's had to leave in almost, I know this is a daylight looking card, but it feels as if he's leaving without other people knowing. So I want to offer this for my Geminis. When I look at the 7 of Swords, which is an air sign, Gemini is an air sign. This represents fixed air, which is Aquarius, which also represents liberation. So in this energy, how can you go your own way? How can you start the beginning in this new moon to set the seeds to really start to take what's most important to you, what you really think, and implement that into your everyday experience. I don't know if it's about taking action right now, but I think it is about starting the process of deciding whether you are truly happy in what you are experiencing within your everyday life. All right, let's see what the angels have to say. Gemini, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Yes, this is my idea, Lucy Rose. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to start with the new moon each month in the sign that it is. I don't think I'll start on the I don't know, the new moon feels fun. It feels like a good way to do it. Okay. Hey, Sacred Owl. And everybody, if I didn't say hi to you, I'm saying hi to you now. Okay, Gemini, our first angel in the foundational position is Rosetta. The second is Maya. The third is Opal. And the final is Francesca. This is really interesting considering I started off talking about the this week's events in Texas. All right, Gemini, Rosetta is being joined by Merlin. Maya is being joined by the Risk card. Oh my God. Okay, sorry. Opal is being joined by the Stag, and Francesca is being joined by the Fear card. Juan, that's so funny. I just read it as sacred. Isn't that funny? Does it say scared? It does say scared. And I think I call her Sacred Owl every week. I think maybe you need to change your name, Scared Owl. Okay. Gemini, you rule school-aged children. You rule the third house. It's where the third house is where the soul first experiences the outside world as you start to go into, kindergarten and all those ages. It's where you've taken the first house of self, the second house of your history of who you are within your family. And then you go see how that compares to the rest of the world. So here's Rosetta representing parenting and teaching. And there's Merlin, justice, balance, and alchemy. And I want to offer it this way because I feel like the Seven of Swords is really talking about going your own way. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm physically taking action, but starting to really think about what is it that makes me happy and finding the balance within that, because it may not be throwing the whole, all of it out. It may just be having to leave certain parts of it. These two swords are interesting to me because a two is some sort of relationship. There's some sort of, two is always a coupling, some sort of compromise. And maybe there's a part of you that has been compromising too much. And now it's time. 5 swords. 5 is an independent number. 5 is going, so this very much is interesting to me because the 7s as well have this sort of, there's an interesting kind of roller coaster feel to the 7 energy. It's like there's good news and bad news about everything. And my job is to focus on that good news and bad news in and of itself brings a bit of balance. So Rosetta to me is really talking about not guiding and teaching your children right now, but playing to your inner child and letting your inner child be your guide. That maybe as the adult Gemini, you're too busy being in the 3D world, and being in more of a childlike energy will allow you to experience things in a more joyful way. Because Maya, the angel of schooling and education, is asking you to risk. And I want to say the risk is going your own way. Again, starting this with a thought process so that the universe can provide you with inspired action. That's one thing that, as I have these weird natural habits that when I study certain things, they're affirmed and they're confirmed. And I've talked to you guys a lot about how when I sit down and meditate, I don't really mark it per se, but I put my beam up and invite spirit to draw all the energies who will best be served by my gifts and my talents. In that energy, there's a certain comfort and connection. And I feel like this is what Gemini has to risk. Everything you've learned spiritually that is not necessarily about taking physical action, but starting with mental action. And really, what does it feel like if I'm sitting in an energy that really supports what I want to experience in the physical world? Because now I have Opal talking about God taking care of your children and your dreams. And I want to offer this way too, because this is a card almost that makes me feel like this is something that hasn't been experienced in the physical world. When I see Opal, I oftentimes think of people who are trying to bring children into the world, or people who are trying to birth their own inner child. And I feel like the stag right now is saying, Gemini, don't make a case for where you've been. Risk where you want to go. Because in the final position, we have Francesca saying, what do you visualize right now? Negativity will block your progress. And then we have the fear card. And I think that this has something to do with maybe even, I'm 62 and a half years old. I'll be 63 in October. There's a lot of things I'd like to experience that I've never experienced. And many people might age me out for that, but this is time to go a different direction. And I feel as if in your Gemini energy, if you're contemplating the if and the what or the back and the forth too much, you're actually doing a disservice for yourself. So I want to shift the fear to face everything and rise, or false evidence appearing real, and start to really look at where your focus is. And you don't have to always go straight to the yummy, warm. If you can't feel that, if you can't authentically feel it, then that's not really working for you. So my idea is when you cannot necessarily find your balance, then you engage spirit to give you experiences and inspirations that support the Seven of Swords and this individuality that you want. And I'm going to say this for Gemini. I feel as if Gemini, there's a piece of information that's coming. I don't know why I want to put it that way, but it may be a piece of information that on an intuitive level you already knew, but there will be confirmation of that information, and that information may feel like a call to action, but I think the action is strategizing versus jumping up and taking physical action in a reactionary way. Okay, let's go on to our Cancers. Now, just to remind everybody, I started with Gemini today because of tomorrow's Gemini new moon. I'm doing things a little bit different than I normally do. So this is our second sign. We're going on to Cancer, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. I believe, Lucy Rose, both Gemini and Mars are conjunct at 3 degrees Aries. There will be till next week. Okay. Till next Wednesday, I think. All right, here we go. Cancer. Your tarot card for this week is the Eight of Cups. This is a really, really spiritual card. It is a card where the character is not necessarily hurt or angry, but recognizing that something that looks like it's good isn't actually working for this person. It's not actually filling their soul the way they would want it to. So we see 5 cups on the bottom and 3 on the top. There's not balance. So this person is tending to want to go towards seeking wisdom and more balance. So they're walking away from something that maybe the average human wouldn't do. And this is a very spiritual energy. And I want to offer it this way, because when you look at the character, he's not only walking away from the cups, he's had to walk over this water way. And there's a little bit of a cliff. So it's not as if this person is running away. They've contemplated this, and they've really walked through their emotions before they've decided to move on to a new new energy. Now let's see what that energy is. Because again, we have a new moon in Gemini tomorrow. I did a separate video on that, so you can check that out. But this may be something that has to do with the way that Cancer is processing an emotion. And sometimes when we've been around a while, humans don't get enough validation for their emotions. So sometimes we get stuck in a loop until we feel that validation. And sometimes that loop is so big and so long that we can't even hear validation. Stephen, welcome. Good morning. Hope you feel better. All right, Cancer. Our first angel is Bridget. The second is Archangel Michael. The third is Sonia. And the final is Celeste. I can't help but think about the late degrees of Cancer being having Pluto opposing you, which is demanding transformation, demanding that you recognize how are you holding yourself small? I really believe that Pluto, well, the experiences that Pluto facilitates aren't easy. The more bravery that we have as humans to address the hard questions makes Pluto's energy on the higher vibrational sides. So, Cancer, what is Bridget asking you to look deeper in? The spider is joining. Then we have Archangel Michael asking you to have the courage to implement balance and justice. We have Sonia being joined by the goblin. And we have Celeste being joined by the trust card. All right, I'm going to be, this might seem a little bit tough for Cancer, but I think that this spiritual journey that is spearheading this Gemini new moon for you today is really about looking deeper into your relationships. The spider for me is always a relationship of some kind. While it may say creative projects on the outside of the card, I always see whatever gets into that web sticks. So I feel as if Spirit is asking Cancer to look deeper into their relationships. And I think this is not just the relationship with one person, but sort of a theme of relationships, because Merlin offers balance, alchemy, and justice. And Archangel Michael is asking you to have the courage to implement that justice. And now when I look at Sonia and the goblin in the angel's advice, I wonder if Cancer has not inadvertently been edging God out, in the sense of, let me put it this way. Cancer, sometimes we think that we are aligned to our outcome that we want. We're aligned to that experience we've been craving, but the frustration that is built up and the annoyance with the time element that, it hasn't shown up yet, that's not alignment. That's a lack of alignment. And this is where I think you may be contributing to your own issue, because there's a part of you that has to trust walking over this uncomfortable, like this. In fact, this water doesn't even look very disruptive. It rather looks like a bit of a pond. But he's had to kind of look at where there's balance with no balance, because Celeste is offering a new home, a new place of employment, and also a new way of thinking on our Gemini new moon, as you learn to trust a bigger picture of what you really want in relationship. Oftentimes when I do readings for people, they want to get married, they want to find their person, and they're so focused on finding that individual that they never consider the quality of the individuals they are already considering. And sometimes, and I'm not saying people are bad or good, but, I am a firm believer of nobody completes me. You complement me or you don't. And if I'm going to live with somebody, complimenting me is way more important than completing me. So for my Cancers, I want to look where I want to offer this. I think this new moon is offering you an opportunity to look at how you've been thinking about your relationships. And in some ways, not to judge or to criticize yourself, but to sort of look where you've stuck to your own story. And it's time to sort of walk away from that story and to realize that if you have not connected with the person yet, then maybe it's because what you're really wanting is at a certain level, and spirit is holding space for you to actually have what you want to achieve. Okay, let's go on to our Leos. Nathan D, I don't know what that little symbol is. It kind of looks like a critter, but I don't know what it means. So we kind of want to keep all of our communications so everybody can understand them. Okay, let's go on to our Leos. Okay, Leo. I want to offer this because this is not an easy energy. This is the Three of Swords. And there's Leo rules children. Leo rules fun. Leo rules romance. And here we have the Three of Swords. And I feel as if when I look at this, the swords aren't bleeding. The heart's not bleeding. There's illumination in the white color beyond it. And I want to offer it this way because the empathy that we may feel for people as they have experienced challenging dynamics with the potential of their children, there's heartache going on right now. There's anger, there's frustration, there is a repetitive nature to these situations. And the targets are always the innocent, the ones that can't defend themselves, the ones that have no life experience to be able to maneuver these atrocities. And I feel as if for my Leos, I want you to stretch for the wisdom here, that these energies, if you're feeling heartache, because I don't even think this is individual. I think this may be because of what's happened in the news, what's happened. I myself have no children, and can I put myself in the shoes of those parents? Maybe not completely, but to a certain degree, I can empathize and cry for them. So I want us to try to seek wisdom. I want us to try to find sense again where there's no sense. So let's see what this Three of Swords has to offer you. Archangel Raphael offers a healing. Daniel offers is the angel of marriage. Bethany is the angel of self-care, and Caressa is the angel of new chapters. Thank you, CJD. I love my nails too. They're really fun. Okay, I know. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the disruption card. Daniel is being joined by the ego, the goblin. Bethany's being joined by the cow, and Caressa's being joined by the bear. I didn't say this earlier, but I'm going to say it now because we're talking about Leo, and Leo rules children. The children that were victims of this recent massacre, I believe, are very high vibrational energies. I believe they are a master soul level. I believe that there is a soul group that on some level chooses these experiences or the potentials of these experiences to truly help humanity rewrite the history in the way that we perceive it, in a more ideal, more loving, more illuminating way. Archangel Raphael offers an illumination in the disruption that we have experienced that is breaking, in some ways, Leo's heart. Now, let's say this has nothing to do with what's happening in the news, but in your own personal life. This is an opportunity for Leo to dig deep and ask yourself if you're coming from your heart chakra or if you're coming from somehow what the audience is going to think of what you're feeling, living, thinking, doing, because I think this is a real opportunity for you to allow. Daniel represents our history. And when I look at this, there's nothing romantic about this spread. And I feel as if this history could potentially be putting you in a place that is pushing on not your personal ego, like I'm hurt, as much as I feel like, okay, I'm just going to be a little bit go off here. I really believe there's going to be a Million Mom March on Washington in the next 2 years. It could be any time. I believe that each one of these situations, from the assault on a woman's fertility to the Roe versus Wade upheaval to these massacres, is illuminating an imbalance that has a lot to do with fifth house matters. And I believe that as we seek the wisdom of these disruptions, we realize that the souls involved are of a master level that are affording us balance. Because I really think that this is an opportunity for Leo to stand in the idea of that self-care. To me, is not just about physical appearance, but how we receive things and how we ripple out into the world, and how we are all. The very first universal law is the universal law of oneness. We are all of a divine energy. So what I think is going on is that there is a closing, there is a reconciliation of a chapter of a history that's happened. And I feel like this is going to bring new happiness, but I want to offer this. It almost feels like sometimes, not sometimes, 90% of the time, the human doesn't change. The human collective doesn't change unless something really tragic happens or something motivates us. So, we lose our job and we're like, no, I'm not going to go back to the old. I'm going to do something new. So Leo, somehow through heartbreak, through some sort of betrayal, because the Three of Swords always is three energies involved. Some intuitives will say it's an affair of some kind, but to me, I think of it as sort of this feeling of the co-creation. There's the outside world creating dynamics that we walk through that give us opportunities to make choice. So Leo, as we look for the divinity in the disruption, we get an opportunity to see and rewrite where we edge God out. And in doing so, all of us understand that it is a divine energy to manifest our own dreams and desires, because as we do that, we become more accepting of other people's dreams and desires, whether it aligns with ours or not. And this is why I believe that we're going through such disruptive times, because we are recalibrating history. And especially those who live in the United States, while the United States will affect the rest of the world as well, here it is going to be palatable, is the word I want to use. Okay, let's go on to our Virgos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Let's see what our tarot card is. Okay, Virgo. This is very interesting. The Eight of Wands represents news, conclusions, information. So something is something's hitting the ground. And I would assume, as Mercury is your ruling planet, Mercury has been retrograde. It will, on the 3rd, go direct. So it's starting the storm period of slowing down the retrograde, and then it will move forward. And over this next week, there'll be a very intense energy. I think from the 3rd to about the 7th, Mercury is going to be stationing. It really slows down. And I want to offer it this way because the news that comes through, and we'll see where this is in regards to, gives you an opportunity for some sort of new beginning. And with the Gemini new moon, the sign that is ruled by your ruling planet as well, I think this is an opportunity again to start to plant the seeds for a new adventure. Yes, 145 Club, they do. And they fuel compassion. if we could only feel compassion without all these things, but the human hasn't gotten there yet. And I think that's partially what's being illuminated through all these things. And that's why I really believe the soul level of these young humans, as they represent our imbalance, because, if while we're horrified when this happens to grown adults, there's a different vibration to it. We almost kind of on some subliminal level think, well, they had some life. These little ones have no life. They just got here. And I do think that their intention is to come and go quickly. Because as we look at those faces lined up, our hearts we can all put ourselves in that place. Okay. Let's see, Virgo, what the Eight of Wands is, what information is coming through. Opal, your children on heaven and earth are safe and well. Then we have Akasha, the teacher. Then we have Isabella, and we have Shanti. I really believe that Opal today is telling us that the children are happy and in heaven and earth, and they're safe. And I really believe that overall, throughout my most recent history, because when I was a kid, this never happened. Never. I can't even remember one time when anything like this ever happened. So I want to offer it this way, because as we, as a collective consciousness looking for a bigger meaning behind these experiences, if we look at the idea that the reason this is happening repeatedly is because we're not addressing it in a balanced way. So I think this is what's coming up. Okay, Opal is being joined by the Joy card. Akasha is being joined by the High Priestess. Isabella is being joined by the Wind Fairy. And Shanti is being joined by the Bear. I don't know why I want to say this to my Virgo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums, but I want to say your meditations may be very interesting this next week. I know that normally I would think that, oh, Virgo, you're busy, you're moving, you're doing, you're serving people. But, this may be an opportunity for you to actually receive information from the divine. And I want to offer it this way, because Opal, representing our children in heaven and earth being safe, in the Joy card, I feel as if this is something where there may be this inspiration that comes to you that makes you play to your inner child, because as a result of reviewing and looking at the information and the news and the things you're seeing, maybe there's something coming up that's starting to make you realize that maybe this isn't about being dutiful in service to an old dynamic, but rather a bigger vision of what this physical experience could actually be when we come from the divine, when we come from hearing that there's a bigger picture. The High Priestess is a very connected energy. She sits here on this earthly plane with complete full awareness of her divinity and her connection. And in doing so, she realizes how important her emotions is. And here's Akasha, the teacher. And so I feel as if we're moving towards the age of Aquarius. We are ascending in all sorts of arenas in the human experience. We're seeing these connections that let us know that we're more than what we appear to be. And while these old structures have been in place and they served to a certain time, they do not serve anymore. So now Isabella is saying, Virgo, yes, the timing is right for you to individualize your thought. For whatever you have been doing in a dutiful way that may in some ways not necessarily serve you, because now it's time for you to experience joy as a service to others, as you sit in a place that really speaks to your divinity. Because here is Shanti, the angel of peace. And the peace to me comes from starting to see the wisdom of our story. And I want to offer it this way, because recently somebody made a comment about trying to let go of something, and I can't recall who it was, but I understand the struggle of trying to like close a chapter and start a new chapter. But as I've aged, I've realized that everything is connected. So whatever challenging chapter I had, or whatever problems, I don't know if you saw word vibration of the week, but there is a tool that's been given to me. There is a sense of empowerment being offered to me. There is a resource being offered to me. And at this time within man's history, it is our job to look deeper into the situations and to find the holy the holy cow, as I read that, to find the synergy within everything, to look deeper. So I think that there's a conclusion or an ending or news coming that will allow Virgo to step into a more happy vibration as they start to feel peace with their history. Okay, that was an aircraft. I'm pretty sure it was a helicopter. And that has been my issue. This whole last month, I've had so much trouble with videos. And if you listen in the background, you'll hear construction on some of these videos. I'm being noise polluted. And let me tell you, I'm not loving it. So hopefully, and there's a guy that has some sort of, I don't know what kind of little kite it is, but he's got this, it almost looks like a parasail, but it has a big fan and it motorizes, and him and his friend fly around the cove. And I'm sure they're having the greatest time, but it's super loud. So it might've been that too. Okay. Visala, welcome to the room. So nice to see you. Okay, here we go. Let's see. We just got done with Virgo. We're going to Libra. Today, I started with Gemini in celebration of the Gemini new moon tomorrow, and I'm working my way towards Taurus in case anybody's lost their way or just came in the room. Our tarot card for Libra. I'm a Libra sun. It's the 10 of Swords. Okay. Let's just face it. This is not fun energy. Okay. It is not, but it's also very dramatic. This is a very dramatic energy. It is mutable air, which is indeed the Virgo air. And I want to offer it this way because, again, there's a feeling of heartache that we're seeing here. There's a feeling of, you know, when I look at this guy, it's very interesting to me because for all those swords, there's not a tremendous amount of blood. And I almost feel like every one of those swords hits a different chakra point. It seems to be going along his spine. So for Libra, I want to offer it this way because I don't know exactly what the overkill is, what the drama is. So let's see what the angels have to say. I am a Libra sun, but if you're a Libra rising, Gemini is your 9th house. So there may be something where your belief system, because we've got, again, Jupiter and Mars coming together in Aries, there could be because Aries is going to be your 7th house, Libra rising. So maybe there's just this incredible heartache that's happening as a result of some sort of overthinking of some situation, I want to put. Yeah, I've never really noticed it that way before, Lucy, but it's looking that way to me now. And I've always thought of this card as a tremendous amount of drama. But when I look at the coloring today, I notice that the sky feels so dark, but there's power right here on the horizon. As we connect with this third eye, color the mountains, maybe there's a part of this character that can't see the spirituality. You know, the emotional body, here's this blue body of water. The mind has gone over top. There's the potential that this person is just, I don't even know quite how to say it because it's like, it's a combination of something happening to me and the way that I am processing it. And I feel as if maybe if I let this thing die, maybe somebody's been trying to be too, let's see what Spirit has to say. Oops, I almost licked that. I'm not going to do that. Rochelle, following your heart. Xana, protection. Grace and Antoinette, compassion. And Ray, connection to spirit. Okay, here we go. Libra, Rochelle is looking at your being energy. The B is joining Rochelle. Xana and the partnership card. Grace and Antoinette and the Queen. Ray and the Wind Fairy. All right, so let's think about this for a minute. The Gemini new moon is going to be in your 9th house. Aries is your 7th house. If indeed you have been experiencing some challenges, because as Mars and Jupiter came into Aries, the energy changed a lot. It got much more passionate, and you may, Libra, feel as if you're not having your needs met in some way. That's the way I want to say it, because this card to me could also indicate if Libra has been holding their breath, hoping things would change, hoping that as you purport a certain amount of balance within a relationship, that you're going to get that back. And the overkill, the drama may be that you just feel like no matter what you do, you're not going to be recognized. And I feel as if maybe that in and of itself is a sign you haven't been listening to, because Rochelle is about following your heart for prosperity, and the B is about good luck. And what if for some reason Libra has been holding themselves small? One of the biggest challenges for Libra is to defer their power in a partnership, to be so cooperative and so willing to be balanced that they give up their voice. And here I almost feel like Xana is telling me that I'm being protected from a partnership that would not have served me, both professionally and personally. And if this, because there is Grace and Antoinette as asking Libra to have compassion. And I think this is for yourself as you sit in a receptive energy. The final position, I have Ray and I have the Wind Fairy. And I feel very much that this overkill could be that Libra is kind of a little bit, as a Libra, people always tend to kind of put things in a good and bad camp. And Libra gets a good camp most of the time. Oh, they're cooperative, they're peaceful. You know what can be Libra? And I can say this because I'm a Libra sun. They'll be resentful and they'll hold their breath, but in their mind, they'll be all me. And I feel as if that could be a little bit like it's time for Libra to move away from the things that have been overly dramatic. Or, and I want to say it this way, because it may not be overly dramatic in the 3D world. It may be overly dramatic a little bit in your head. In my lifetime, having a Libra sun and the Libra Mars, and I kind of laugh because, I get these weird, you're argumentative in relationships. And I laugh because then they make Mars dominate my sun. And everybody knows that the sun, it combusts every planet that it's close to. So the sun is going to rule everything. And when I look at this, I feel like, Libra, are you letting your sun shine? Are you letting the sun of your heart shine? Are you looking at your being energy? Or are you hoping in some way that somebody else is going to come in and see you and validate you? Because I think you may be being protected from a partnership that would actually dumb you down and not let you be all you can be, to sit in that royal energy. And now it's time for you to have compassion as you step up your game, because it's time to get out of your own way with how you've been thinking. It's time to own your power. And sometimes when we stand in a position of owning our heart chakra, we put ourselves inadvertently in the line of fire of other people's opinions. And I feel as if this is an opportunity for Libra to really say, but I need to own me. And I need to own my heart and how I view things. And maybe I get to start to own whether or not I'm contributing to the drama in my life. I know that for me, Teri, I think I contribute to the drama of my life. I think I get a lot more annoyed by, I think I'm a humble person for the most part. And then, I'm like, wait, I have great things to say. You're not acknowledging me. Hi, Josh. Good to see you. Okay. Where I was going with that is that sometimes I get stuck on, as a Libra, and I have a Taurus moon, so this may be part of it, but it's almost as if I can get validation from other areas, but I get stuck on wanting validation from that. And if I don't get validation from that, I just kind of discount everything else. And that might be where this Ten of Swords shows up a little bit, because maybe I'm creating a little drama for me because I can't accept the acknowledgement over here, but demand what won't acknowledge me. And isn't that human? All right, let's go to our Scorpios. Ooh, finally a fun card. We have the Nine of Pentacles. All right, so let's look at this, Scorpio. You have the South Node transiting your sign. And exactly, Lucy Rose. I want to offer this because the Nine of Pentacles by nature is the self-made character, the person who has created all their own abundance. There's nothing about it that was given to them. They've worked hard on their issues, as resulting in that falcon with the hood on it, because she's now tamed and worked with her situation. And I want to offer this because that little snail in the forefront always catches my attention. And by the way, I am a personal snail saver. If I see a snail walking across the sidewalk, I always pick it up and put it in a safety zone. My grandfather used to step on them when I was a child, and it traumatized me. And when I look at the snail, I can't help but always focus on the shell that sort of has this circular patterned in the middle. So this makes me feel like my job as a Scorpio is to stay the course. The South Node is not telling me I will experience loss, but rather maybe I need to be egoless in the timing of things. Maybe I need to be more Plutonian in digging deeper into what's important to me and what I really want to experience, and be willing to put the time and the effort into the idea that it isn't about time and it isn't about effort. How receptive am I? How open am I to receiving? Or have I been so used to working hard to create my bounty that I don't know how to enjoy sitting in that bounty? And I mean the bounty of working through my issues, working through my self-criticism, working through my whatever self-talk isn't serving me. So let's look at this from the angel's point of view. I really have always been such a sensitive person about snails. I remember 19 years ago, when Scorpio was going through my 8th house, I lost everything I owned. And I had to go live with, I should say I was privileged to go live with my brother-in-law's mother. She took me in. None of my family members took me in, but she did. And one day she had this little garden patio, and she had put salt everywhere. And she was incensed because the snails had the audacity to walk through the salt and die in her patio because salt kills snails. And I was horrified that she killed them in such an insidious manner. They literally sizzle. It's terrible. But anyway, she comes from a generation that hated snails. And so I'm a snail saver. Scorpio. Our first angel is Francesca. The second is Adriana. The third is Layla. And the final is Omega. All right. So as we're going through the process of the next level of prosperity, the next level of abundance, the next level of feeling empowered by your own creation. This is Scorpio. You created this. Francesca is being joined by the stag. Adriana's being joined by the bear. Layla's being joined by the love card. And Omega is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Okay. So I really think that there's something about this Nine of Pentacles that is asking Scorpio to be egoless during the process of evolution. So you're going to a new level. And I believe that level really is an opportunity to get out of some, Scorpio is a fixed sign. Scorpio is a very intuitive sign. Scorpio is the detective, the psychologist. Scorpio is intuitive from sort of a suspicious place in its lower vibration before it masters its intuition. So I feel about this is two things. This is about recognizing where negativity is keeping you stuck in your stubborn pride of I know it's like this, and where you can turn that negativity or that focus on a challenge into something magical. See how she's like poking this flower? What is she poking it with? It almost feels, and it's the moon is behind it. So she's almost finding the nectar within her emotions as she recognizes that fear is actually something that could make her a leader. Because at this moment in time, the Baird is actually asking you to rewrite that story. And I think it's from this joyous dancing place. I feel as if when I look at this is also the enchantment of storytelling. And here's Adriana leading you to the answers to your prayers. This is also the angel that when I was meditating, saw that these children have been very, very strongly flanked and guided and protected as they have made the transition. But Scorpio, this is now an opportunity for you to make a transition, to rather than hanging on to your story, but to let your story lead you to greater heights of love and connection, because that's what you want. And I want to say it this way, because I don't think it has to do with just amassing material wealth, but everything that this represents. The 9 represents a self-made woman. And how much joy is there in amassing material success if you can't share it with others or to commingle? That's what Scorpio represents, a commingling. Because in the final position, we have victory in the form of Omega. Keep up the good work. Keep up this willingness to be egoless as you traverse a new level of who and what you are, as you step into new levels of leadership for yourself, as you've had the courage to traverse the mind and the emotional body and hold your truth without resistance. Let me put it this way. There's a fine line between focusing in on a challenge and then having that challenge become a mountain of obstacles. And I feel as if the egolessness comes from the idea that Scorpio rules power and control. And in this moment, your control may not be, or your power in asserting yourself in the physical, but rather realigning your emotional and psychological body to your deeper truth so that spirit can open a new experience and start to rewrite that history and make that history serve you versus being this jagged, walking on broken glass type of idea. All right, let's go on to our Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Josh, I see your mother all the time now. Do you see those flowers behind me? She picked them. All right, let me have a little sip of my grown-up hot cocoa. Yeah, that's what I do, CJD. I don't throw them. I pick them up and then I put them on the dirt. I also don't like to kill bugs in my house. I save them. I try to trap them in a little thing and take them outside. I'm such a weirdo. Okay. Sagittarius, what is your tarot card for the week? This is beautiful. The 3 of Wands, watching your ship come in. Viewing, this is still a process card. It's a card of overlooking your surveying the landscape of your life. And I want to offer this too, because I always find it so interesting that the water in this particular card is yellow. So your power, Sagittarius, comes from being able to be flexible, to be able to to take your ship into new areas and to see a broader picture. Oh, I just got chills everywhere of what's going on within your world and the world at large. Okay, here we go. You know, I got to say, I've been complaining a lot about noise, and I have this guy that lives above me, just one person. Last night, he was snoring, and I was kept up by his snoring. He doesn't even live with me. This is how bad the noise is. And I'm at 62 and a half years old, never going to need miracle ear, apparently. Okay, I can hear him crunching around up there. I don't know if you can hear now. Sagittarius, joining the Three of Wands is Layla. Then we have Merlina. Then we have Teresa. And we have Adriana. Creation's an interesting thing because the human will tell you, work hard, pound the pavement, go, go, go. And it's really a baton pass. It's like taking action and then taking a pause while spirit gives you an inspired action. Pardon me. Let's see what Layla has to say. Joining Layla is the risk card. Joining Merlina is the stag. Joining Teresa is the spider. And joining Adriana is the cow. You know, as I look at this spread, I almost feel as if Sagittarius, you know, was experiencing the South Node last year. So there, and you know, I want to always put it this way, because while the South Node can represent loss, to me it represents loss because we're stuck to a human dynamic that we think is saving us in some way. And spirit is always trying to remind us that it is never the material object that gives us security, but rather our energetic vibration that creates that physical object for security. So as we trust our ability to create, we become much more powerful human beings. So Sagittarius, this to me is a continuation of your own personal journey of what you want to experience in your world. And it seems like when I look at this card, there's a strong willingness to stand in the power of what Sagittarius represents, which is, you know, philosophical thoughts, broader concepts, new things in the sense of foreign to me. They may not be foreign to everyone. So there's this opportunity that you have when you step out and you talk to spirit about what you really want and let them know that you're really willing to risk what. And I want to offer it this way. The risk is never really about a material thing, but willing to stand in the power. That ocean, whatever this body of water is, and it appears to be an ocean to me, those ships are in a body of water that represents my personal power, my power chakra. So now it's time for me to truly risk standing in that power. And the power feels like it comes from knowing that there is a baton pass between taking action and being inspired into action. So here's Merlina saying that you may be confused and indecisive. I don't really see Merlina that way because she's a wizard. Wizards are not indecisive. They create magic. So now this is about getting out of my own way. This is sort of about saying that sometimes if we can't see it, we don't think anything's happening. And that, I think, is a big mistake that humans make. Because right now in the angel's advice is Teresa. And I think this is about worry. And when I say that, I want to go here to the idea that the spider is offering you a relationship with your worry that informs you that maybe your worry is getting you in the way of what you want to create. Because if Sagittarius can overlook their own personal landscape of their life right now and take it in and observe it, there's not action in this particular card. There's observation and there's knowledge within that observation. Because what I think is happening is that as Sagittarius speaks to spirit about what they really want to experience, then we start to receive that. We start to feel the abundance and the nourishment that the cow offers. But it comes because we're being led through an inspired action. It doesn't come because we take charge towards something. And I really want to offer Sagittarius this, because 90% of the time, the initial action a human takes is because they are inspired by fear. We need to really look at that before we take action. Because if that fear is actually false evidence appearing real, then it's a different vibration. So that's where the risk comes in. Contemplating what you want and whether you're standing in a vibration that is willing to receive that, or if there's a trepidation about it. All right, let's go on to our Capricorns. That's a surrender going on there, Lucy Rose. All right, here we go. Whoops. All right, Capricorn, your tarot card is the Lovers. Now, this is a very interesting energy because this card rules Gemini. We see two characters here. This is about choice. The choice of lover is the trajectory of our life. And then we see Archangel Gabriel so incredibly calmly watching over these two people as they stand vulnerable and open and naked to each other. Let's see. What does this mean for Capricorn? Is there love coming? Are you about to have an opportunity to make a choice of lover? Okay, our first angel is Archangel Raphael. The second is Astera. The third is Indriel. And the final is Fiona. Oops. All right, Capricorn. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Queen. Astera is being joined by the Hawk. Indriel is being joined by the Grail Knight. And Fiona is being joined by the History card. Well, this is very interesting because while this does represent a Geminian energy, okay, the idea of choice, I think that this very much is representing what Capricorn would like. And I want to offer it this way because I feel when I look at this that it's not necessarily just wanting to have a lover, but to have the people around you or the people that have that you love acknowledge or observe your shifting a little bit, like as if the baby goat is coming out more to play. And I feel like Capricorn deserves some applause for that, because I want to offer this. Capricorn for me has been evolving so incredibly rapidly, and willingness to have an awareness. And this is where Archangel Raphael and this illumination that I feel around the head of Archangel Raphael is looking at the Queen in a calmer energy. You know, the goat is used to going up the hill, working hard, preparing and perpetrating stoic behaviors in order to make things happen, kind of doing things not because they want to, but because it's expected of them. And now I feel as if this Gemini new moon is offering you the beginnings of an epiphany that working hard doesn't always serve us. Sometimes it's better to sit back and to start to allow the universe to bring things to us, because and it starts with the signs and the omens, because those signs and the omens give you the comfort to be able to stand in the vibration to continue to receive. Because Astera says to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. And here is the Hawk. And I absolutely think this is about messages and omens. And I think that goes right back to the Lovers. All of the major arcana cards are going to indicate a very strong energy. The major arcana is where the hero starts the journey of the human experience with the zero of the Fool, which I think is Mars. as he leaps off that cliff without looking. Because what I think is starting to happen for my Capricorns is, in the angel's advice is the Grail Knight seeking the sacred. And then we see Indriel again with this epiphany. And I see all this illumination from what Astera is doing to Indriel to Archangel Raphael. And I feel as if in true leadership fashion and in true Capricorn fashion, you are starting to bring the spiritual into the material world. You know, there's gradations of all these signs, and whether you're earthbound or more spiritually aligned isn't dictated by whether you're a Pisces, a Capricorn, a Virgo, or a Libra. It's the soul's journey, and that chart and the dynamics with which your soul chose to walk through is part of the experience others get to have of you. And I think that if you're a Capricorn and you're very earthbound, and then you bring your spirituality into the earth, that leadership is very far reaching, because I feel that's what you're stretching for, is to make your choices from a spiritual place with ease that's aligned more to your joy, to your soul's experience, that you learn to receive as powerfully as you learn to give, or as you have given, that now you're starting to see the signs and the omens, which is giving you a stronger sense of commitment to this journey. And now that you've asked God and the angels for help, it's the ultimate choice to sit back and wait for yet one more illumination. Now, we have seen in almost every single one of these angel cards a light being pointed to, Capricorn, a light that is going to shift the way you feel overall and in general. And what I think that is where we actually are starting to take the idea of authority and government and rules and regulations, which we need to have a cohesive society. But now within that, we can layer on the individual's wants and desires, which lead us into a much more fruitful place of being able to combine the spiritual with the material, which is why the soul incarnates in this experience in the first place. So I think this is a matter of choice right now. And I don't think the choice is the choice of another human in your life as much as it's that choice of how I'm going to perceive things. All right, here we go. On to our Aquariuses. So for those of you that might have just popped into the room, today I started with Gemini. I've got this. Hey, Arthur Space, good to see you. I decided this morning that after all these years of starting with Pisces, that I was going to purport more balance. And the balance would be that I'm going to start with on whatever month it is, on the new moon, I'm going to start with that sign. So until the new moon in Cancer, I'll start with Gemini. And then when we have the new moon in Cancer, I'll do Cancer first. And then when we have the new moon in Leo, I'll start with Leo first. And hopefully that'll balance us all out at the end of the day. All right, on to our Aquarius is your tarot card. Oh my goodness, so fun. Queen of Pentacles. And this is money, 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 money in the physical world. There's a sense of being prolific here. There's also this little child under the chair. And I'm going to tell you, I always think that this is, in some ways, I know we're on Aquarius, right? But this can represent Capricorn. See the little goat right here? And I feel as if the character here, while looking in the material world, is also playing to manifesting what this child wants in a prolific way. So let's see what Spirit has to say for Aquarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Just dropped my stone. Oh, well. All right. Aquarius, our first angel is Layla. The second is Archangel Raphael. The third is Seraphina. And the final is Akasha. Layla is being joined by the serpent. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the restriction card. Seraphina is being joined by the history card. And Akasha is being joined by the forgiveness card. Aquarius, this is an interesting energy for me because when I initially look at Aquarius, I kind of go to the original, oh, you feel alien and you're different than everyone else and you're futuristic thinking. And at the same time, when I looked at this, I felt as if Aquarius, with the Queen of Pentacles, wants to, in some ways, they are changing what their currency is. Like rather than have this just be straight up money, as I started to pull the angel cards, I thought this was about time and freedom and independence. And there's Layla saying to spend time in nature with your desires. And there is the serpent. And the serpent is, for me, offering a new skin. And now I think of Saturn that's been transiting Aquarius and really starting to have me sit back and think about what are the rules and regulations of my own life? What do I want? Because, I kind of think sometimes the human is predisposed to think they want something that maybe they don't want at all, but it's such a habit of wanting it. Because I feel like as Saturn has put a bit of restriction on your sign, it's given you an opportunity again for an epiphany. And that epiphany is in direct relation to what you may have learned from your family about what makes you happy. And that may be at this moment, not negative or positive, but you may have shifted, You may be thinking that while that served me at one point, I'm ready to move on to a new space, a new time. Because Akasha, the teacher, and the forgiveness card to me is somehow Aquarius reconciling something. There's a memory of abundance and I want to go to time for some reason. I want to go to having more freedom of choice, more freedom of what I want as a human. This is the greatest thing about my life at this point. I honestly choose every day what I'm going to do. I'm not trapped to a job that I don't enjoy. So I really think for my Aquariuses, it's an opportunity during this week and this Gemini new moon to think about what your resources are and how you actually value them. And if you have not shifted in some ways to valuing things that you never valued before. And as you spend time focusing in on those new values, I feel like Spirit brings more of that into your experience, meaning you start to represent a new dynamic. So if indeed freedom is something that you value, then as you claim your freedom, then other people will see that. And then you get to sort of represent this innovative way of being. Okay. And in that way, it kind of makes things start to make, and I feel like there's a new level of sense being made for Aquarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All right, let's go on to our Pisces. Hey, Small, thank you. Okay. And you know what? I just didn't even think about Small. How are you feeling? Are you feeling any better? Oops. All right. Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, I'm sorry. This is fun. There's the cup of love, the cup of peace. There's the angels offering you to fill your cup up, have it overflow. Let's see, Pisces. What is going to overflow for you? Our first angel is Adriana. The second is Rosetta. The third is Mystique. And the final is Archangel Raphael. Wow. There is a lot of Archangel Raphael's energy going on here. And I really believe that the next phase of ascension is to understand the divineness within disruption. Let's see where our little Pisces is. Adriana is being joined by the Harmonious Wealth card. Rosetta is being joined by the Spider. Mystique is being joined by the Queen. And Archangel Raphael is being joined by the King. You know, as I look at this, I feel as if there is a little something going on where Pisces might need to take just a minute to receive bounty. And I almost want to offer it this way, because bounty, I don't know if it's all coming in a material way as much as I feel the emotional momentum. I feel a bit of peace of mind as my spiritual body easily connects to my team. You know, you're ruled by Neptune and Jupiter. And Jupiter is sitting with Mars on just the cusp of the house, 3 degrees away from the house cusp. And so I believe that there's a bit of bravery as I'm starting to implement new beliefs about myself. Because Adriana says she's leading you to the answers to your prayers. And I believe that's the wealth card. She's leading you to the idea that wisdom, to the idea that you'll be able to mentally process things, to understand that not everything that happens to us that is disruptive, deemed negative, or challenging is actually any of those things. Sometimes they appear to be that way, but rather than really being that way, they're moving out an old energy that is not allowing peace of mind, love, etc. to come in. Because in the opportunity or the obstacle is Rosetta. And I want to offer it this way, Pisces, because to me, it feels as if there is a opportunity to build your network in a way that feels like you're enjoying it more. I kind of want to put it this way. I watch MasterChef Junior, and no matter how much the kids have, you know, different ways of being, they're always very supportive of each other, even when they acknowledge each other's challenges. There was a little kid that was kind of a little bit, didn't take direction very well. And while the other kids were frustrated, they were still supportive. And there's something about this that makes me feel as if Pisces is going to go through a situation where people will be more supportive. Your network will have a more childlike dynamic in what I just said, is the way that it's less judgy and more supportive. And I put it this way because I feel like Pisces is going to have to stretch for it a little bit. You're a little bit mutable and you tend to tuck in. But here, as you continue to charge ahead for that higher vibration of what you want, you're going to receive more. And I want to say more of a network of friends, of associates, of people who can move your story forward. And that's how Spirit is offering you, having your cup feel full, feeling more at peace. And there's Archangel Raphael again, offering an epiphany as justice has been served. And the justice is your willingness to be led to what is deeply and honestly your truth that makes you feel harmoniously wealthy. And I always use that wealth card as harmoniously wealthy because as I've aged, I don't believe that money is the thing that brings me true happiness. I think it's a multitude of other things, and money supports that. So I think that there's a big shift coming for Pisces in that respect. I think you're going to start to feel more palatable in being led, and in doing so, trusting that journey a little bit more, and then setting an intention that allows you to feel an action happening, meaning, you know, like almost like literally like a two-way conversation. You sort of put something out there, Spirit starts to lead you toward, and then the laws of, the universal law of inspiration, that's inspired action comes into play here. Okay, let's go on to our Aries and then Taurus, and we'll be done for today. It's so funny lately how things happen for me because I've been really trying to build the YouTube channel, and I'm finally, at a place where I'm monetized, and all the benefits I had on the previous channel are now afforded to me here. And at the same time, I feel like spirit is stretching me even more to make myself more available, to broaden my network. And I can feel a bit of a wanting it and a resistance at the same time. And and I feel like it's important to acknowledge as individuals where we want expansion, and yet there's a little bit of trepidation about what that expansion will mean for us as individuals. Because I think as we open up to that, then spirit has a way of actually comforting us to that expansion. So we don't feel the eyes of judgment coming towards us, but the arms of community and compassion and of connectedness. All right. Aries. Here's the Five of Cups. A little bit of challenging. This is the divorce card. This is a card of loss, I will say it. But the thing about this character that we often don't notice is that there's two cups behind her or him, and those cups are not lost. They can be filled with whatever this character wants. And in sometimes when those three cups drop over, it offers an illumination. So now let me tie all this into the astrological dynamics of Jupiter and Mars, your ruling planet Aries, being conjunct in Aries at the 3rd degree of Gemini with a Gemini new moon tomorrow. I believe that you may feel a sense of loss. I personally have felt a weird roller coaster of loss and yet also protection. I feel as if, as an Aries rising, I have my rising sign squaring Pluto. And there were things I've endeavored over the last few years that I really thought would help move my story forward. And at the same time, they were disempowering to me. They were not really authentic in allowing me to rise up. So I think you're right, Arthur Space. This offers contemplation, as does the Hermit. The Hermit can be also represent the energy of Virgo. So what am I enslaved to? Am I enslaved to the idea that these cups were the only ones that would really manifest anything? And my focus on the loss is not allowing me to walk over the bridge of what could be created. So I think that Mars being conjunct Jupiter over this next week or so is giving an opportunity to really reflect on our beliefs, how we want to implement those beliefs, how brave we are within those beliefs, because sometimes we inadvertently hold on to things and defend a lower vibration of ourselves because it's never been validated. And I think that too could no longer be serving me. All right, let's look a little deeper. I agree, Arthur Space. I think right now there's a lot of things that appear to be loss that are really going to be things that when we look at in hindsight will be very, very different in how we process them. 19 years ago, when the nodal axis was where it is now, I lost everything I owned moving home from North Carolina. And at the time, it was the most devastating experience. My ego was crushed. I felt like the biggest loser in the world. And then about 2 years later, as I reprocessed the whole thing, it became the greatest gift. All right, Aries, Grace and Antoinette, the angels of compassion. Rosetta, childlike divine energy. Archangel Gabriel, my thoughts, my insecurities. And Adriana, again, being led to a higher vibration, a more authentic place of experience. Yes, 145 Club. And I don't even know if we can drop our burdens as much as we can look at those burdens and say, what do they want us to recognize? Because I feel like burdens are sort of like those things in the closet that have been sitting way back. And if we just let them get dusty back there, they may never leave, but we don't have to look at them either. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Risk card. Aries. Rosetta and the burden card are here, Archangel Gabriel and the trust card, and Adriana and the letting go card. All right, I want to offer this. Aries is so action oriented. Aries, honestly, I'm an Aries rising, and I really think sometimes, you should listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. And there's certain people that just do not listen to me. The people that have known me the longest pay the least attention to my intuition. The people that call me Teresa discount what I do here in the 2.0 version of me, Teri. So I want to offer this. Aries, as you walk through some sort of loss in some ways, as you've been focusing on something that didn't pan out, it literally hurt your heart and made you feel something at your base chakra, those two colors, okay? There's something that is made you feel as if you're not being recognized, but there's an epiphany. There's an illumination, because now is a time to have compassion as you risk something else. Because something, Aries is known as the individual, as the loner, as the pioneer, but as the first sign, I think that it wants to be recognized for itself. I think it wants to be recognized as a leader. And sometimes when it isn't, because it's being eclipsed by its assertiveness and its aggressiveness and its warrior energy and what it's been categorized, that sometimes Aries itself has a burden of seeing itself in a more innocent light. And I feel like now is a time to really start to turn over this version of yourself and start to trust a bigger version. Years ago, a friend of mine back in North Carolina encouraged me to do a self-help program called World Works. And my whole life, I've been told I was a bitch. I was hostile. I was too angry. I was like, I just didn't like people perpetrating crap on me and then me having to suck it up. So I go do this thing, and it changed my life because the people in that group saw me as a leader. And in certain exercises, they wanted me to stand up front. And I was not used to that experience. And then I realized that part of me that had that piss and vinegar, that fire, that willingness to be a little bit assertive is exactly what made me want, or made them want me to be the leader. Because I may have been full of piss and vinegar, but I was doing it in a way that was standing up for balance, my Libra sun. Because Aries, it's time to let go, literally to look at your shit, pardon my language, and start to turn it into manure that serves you. Don't get resentful of it anymore, because you're being led to a higher vibration. And that vibration has a lot to do with that Jupiter transit over this next year. This Jupiter transit is going to let you see that when you don't hang on to that anger in a way, because I feel like Aries, I feel more Aries than anything else in my life. And so my anger is not because you've done me wrong. It's because you won't see the goodness in me, that you keep villainizing me as the warrior. You keep making me the angry one. Well, and I point my finger at those people, you stand in imbalance. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not looking at those people anymore. I'm only going to look here at me. I'm only going to look at how I show up. Because you know what? If I keep trying to find my balance and validation out there, I'm not going to find it. All I'm going to find is this. So, Aries, it's time to have compassion for yourself. It's time to take your life by the horns and say, you know what? I kind of like being me. And if I had a choice, I don't think I'd change it. Now it's about fine-tuning all that fire. And bringing fire brings you life instead of burning you. All right. That's it. Let's go on to our final sign today, Taurus. Venus has entered Taurus. Oh my God, I'm singing again. I sing a lot. I really do. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I do. All right, Taurus, your tarot card is dun, 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 dun. Capricorn, the devil. And I say Capricorn, the devil. The devil is not bad. If you really look at this card, the devil in some ways is the illusion of power over us that we could remove if we were brave enough to lift our hands up and remove the chains that bind us. Oftentimes, because of the goat, the ram's horns, the devil is considered Capricorn. I kind of think it has a little bit of a Platonian energy because, again, I'm lying to myself about my power. And then I can't help but turn the devil into the lived card. Am I living for me, Taurus? Or am I living for what has imprisoned me or what I feel I need in order to feel safe and secure in the world? So, yes, this last 145 club, that eclipse was on my sun. I mean, on my moon. It was like 9 degrees Taurus, I think. And it really, honestly, I did a solar eclipse video, and on my own channel, I got over 3,000 views. It was really kind of wild. I couldn't even believe it. I was like, whoa, how'd that happen? All right, let's look and see, Taurus. What does the devil want you to know? And I don't want to look at the devil. I want to flip it now. Where are there chains that are holding you down so you can't live anymore, or you haven't lived yet? All right, our first angel, Taurus, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums, is Indriel, the light worker. Archangel Gabriel is the angel of communication. Opal is the angel of children being cared for by God. And there's Yvonne, about being vulnerable to my wants and my desires. Arthur's space, that third house cusp, 26 degrees Aries, is actually squaring Pluto right now. And your Saturn in Aries at 29 degrees is giving you an opportunity to rewrite that structure. I think the 29th degree is a very powerful degree of mastery. It's been when we've gone through the whole sign, and now I'm taking everything I learned in that sign and I'm using it with skill and with prowess. All right. Indriel's being joined by the forgiveness card. Archangel Gabriel's being joined by the high priestess. Opal's being joined by the bee card. And Yvonne is being joined by the wind fairy. I've told you guys before that most of my life, Pluto has been making a conjunction to all of my planets. And while I can say that a lot of my lifetime I felt like I spent more time crying sometimes than I did laughing. I've spent more time alone than I've spent with others. I feel like there's something about my chart and my soul's intention that really wanted me to lift the chains that bind me. So I came in for a master class. And Taurus, I want to offer you right now, with Uranus transiting your sign, offering you liberation. The North Node at 22 degrees, been holding 22 degrees for a while now. 22 being a master number of cooperation with your wants and your desires and your physical experience. Because I believe that you're having an opportunity to really have an inspiration that will bring a reconciliation with what you've experienced. And that is what has brought me joy in life. As I sit here on Sunday, and I still, at 62 years old, see places I hold myself small, places I hold resentment, places I could still grow to be a more peaceful human, a more happy human. I also see that the challenges I've had have provided me with immense amount of wisdom. And while I never, ever want to go back and experience them again, I now have a willingness to dig deeper into everything. And the willingness is to see, where am I co-creating, and where is there a situation that I can find power where I feel powerless. Because in the opportunity, the obstacle, Taurus, is Archangel Gabriel asking you to turn over your insecurities to her and to connect to the bigger picture of what you want to experience, what your soul has contracted for, and to actually start to bring in the dynamic of communication with your team of unseen guides and angels. Every single person has the ability to connect on an energetic level with their team. It's kind of like a singing voice. Some of us have natural talent. Some of us have to work at it. Some of us are going to sound terrible, but we're still going to be connected, because I really believe that the connection to see yourself as a child of God will bring you a sense of victory, that you're being cared for. And it is only when you've been insecure and afraid that you haven't been able to see the bigger version of yourself, because now is a time to be vulnerable. And the vulnerability comes in recognizing where your thoughts haven't served you, where inadvertently, and don't judge yourself for this, please, because the human is trained to think in fear. I am personally incensed by the amount of medical or pharmaceutical ads that disempower the human while they play this empowering music in the background. Take this drug and you are going to be like the bomb. I think this is crazy. And I feel like I'm using that as an example because if I'm willing to look at where I have my challenges have really brought me wisdom, have brought me illumination, then I know that I'm less vulnerable to my thoughts and more powerful because I can focus those thoughts. And if I can't focus them, I can surrender. That's my favorite thing these days. Spirit, I got no power over this. I'm stuck in a loop. My brain has been branded. Help me release myself from the chains that imprison me to a situation that doesn't serve me. That's what I think the Gemini new moon has to offer. How do I think? What do I focus on? And how much time do I spend thinking about it? So I'm like, I could just, honestly, I could go on a whole conversation about all of this, but I really want to stay out of the polarities and I want to stay in the neutral zone because I am at this moment looking for the wisdom in disruption. I am being called upon by spirit to see the divinity in disruption, in the mayhem. And in doing so, standing more within the vibration of the layers of wisdom. I feel like Pluto is my friend. I know everybody wants to talk about Pluto being a malefic, being kind of a terrorist in some ways. But with Pluto squaring so many of my aspects and making such a big, loud noise in doing so, it's compelled me to look deeper into the wisdom behind what it has to offer. And each and every time that Pluto has done something that's been disruptive, I have been able to trace it back to me holding myself small, me thinking somebody was better than me, prettier than me, bigger boobs than me, would provide me with more resources or whatever. And it was all BS. So that's where I'm going to stand vulnerable to my own thoughts, not criticizing them, not shaming myself for them, but understanding that they are a natural part of the journey that allows me to no longer be stuck in that thought that chains me. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for being here. I love you all so much. I'm so excited. I'm going to, I was last week going to do the 12 universal laws, but I couldn't get around the construction. So I did the word vibration of the week, which actually I'm really excited I did. And so I'm going to do this other video. Look for that this week. And then I'll be back next Sunday. And if you want to book a personal reading with me, my information is below and I am available. In the meantime, I just love y'all so much. Thank you for being here on Sundays with me. I just hit the table. Peace out, everybody. You bet. That's it. The Hermetic Principles. We'll see you later, guys. Have a wonderful week.